please welcome Frankie Boyle!
Hello and welcome to our American Autopsy. Before we start, a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the result of the election yet, turn away now and ask your closest relative to shoot you in the back of the head. This has been the biggest decision of maybe the last 50 years, maybe since the Second World War. I don't know about you, but any time I hear that there's a big decision to be taken, I often think to myself, oh, I hope no Americans are involved in taking that decision. I hope no one from a country that made 7 Fast and the Furious movies has any say in this. Donald Trump sort of looks like someone playing a president in a porno. It's not just that he's the worst person for the job, he might be the worst mammal. Would you have bothered with the hair if you had his face? If your face looked like a novelty jug that was made in a secure unit pottery class. People were saying, oh, he can't build a wall between America and Mexico. The Mexicans have started building it themselves. Trump alienated the Republican base. There were Republican politicians who didn't vote for him. Those are some of the worst people in the world. How can you lose them? There are people who didn't vote for Trump who would have voted for Magneto. They said a lot of mad, racist and sexist stuff that would have got you fired from any other job. Just imagine, you get called in by your HR and they go, sorry, Larry, you've said a lot of mad, racist and sexist stuff. You can't stock timber anymore. The only job you're now qualified for is President of the United States of America. People say, don't they, say, well, Hillary was the best qualified candidate ever. She was Secretary of State, she was First Lady, she was an attorney. That's not the problem. Peter Sutcliffe was an excellent truck driver. It's the attitude. Hillary Clinton, I'm trying to think of something positive to say about her. I suppose, for a granny, she was quite good at email, wasn't she? If my granny had even seen a laptop, she would have tried to toast a sandwich in it. Maybe we just have to accept Americans are irrational. Well, this is a country of people who not only don't have health care, they don't want health care, and they're angry if someone offers them health care. This is a country of people obsessed with their teeth. Obsessed with their teeth, don't care if they'll ever die. And say what you like about British people, we don't judge anybody by their teeth, unless they're a child refugee fleeing a war zone. OK, let's go on with the show. Joining me to discuss all the issues, please welcome Sarah Pascoe and Catherine Ryan. Good to have you here. Did you enjoy the campaign, Sarah?
Enjoy it?
Yeah.
I have an anxiety disorder now.
Catherine, were you horrified and appalled by the whole thing?
Yes, gripped and horrified. And I'm a little bit in shock still, but I feel like he might do okay. Like, because he's a liar, so maybe he was lying about all that horrible stuff he was going to do.
That's a really, really positive way of looking at it. I like the theory that the American president doesn't have as much power as we think they do. Mm-hmm. So we think it's this huge thing and they can do good or they can do bad, and actually there's a whole system and they are a figurehead that we blame when it doesn't really work out.
Yeah, let's hope so. Did you watch election night, Catherine?
I did. I went for a little nap when I put my daughter to bed, and then woke up at 3 a.m. and watched until it was time to wake her in a new world, where I'd be happier with her watching porn than CNN.
She She's like 7, right?
She's 7. Yeah, it's still better.
His wife must be appalled as well that the whole thing's over, because she's presumably spent the last 2 years fucking her Pilates instructor. For legal reasons, she hasn't been doing that. And now she's got this monster.
No, now he's even busier.
Yeah.
It's great. Now she can fuck 2 Pilates instructors.
What's next for Hillary, though, do you think?
She's in trouble because President-elect Trump said that he would jail her if he won. And I feel like she should hold him to that because jail is a much safer place for a woman than Trump's America.
Now, it's not just Sarah and Catherine I have to argue with tonight. Who better to pass judgment on my views on America than 20 genuine, real-life Americans? Tonight, they have all the power, as at the end of each debate, they'll be deciding whether I'm right or wrong. Now, on with the show. Tonight, I'll be making 3 propositions based on the US election. First off, despite millions of dollars of fundraising and months of campaigning, Clinton and Trump were the 2 most disliked presidential candidates in modern history. And so I propose that anybody in this room would be a better president than Donald Trump. I don't know about you, but do you remember when you thought that George Bush was the bottom? You thought that's as low as it's going to get. A guy who's so stupid that he can't really speak. Turns out there's a whole thing underneath that goes all the way down to a guy who looks like a melted action figure of He-Man. Doesn't even really have policies. They're more the sort of things a drunk would say on a bus when he gets shaken awake by a pothole. Here to give us an American perspective from The Daily Show, please welcome comedian Michelle Wolf. Great to have you, Michelle.
Thank you. This seems like the fallout shelter we'd all go to after Trump was elected.
Is it sort of amazing that he's managed to create a new low in America? You know?
Yeah.
So, like, somewhere we think of as being culturally pretty much the drip tray. And he cheapened Vegas. You know? He ran a casino that lost money in Atlantic City.
A pretty good job of pretending that we had it together, you know? Like, we were like the woman that just got divorced, and we were like, everything's fine, I have my Chardonnay. And now we're like, it's not okay. I miss him.
And I think Trump is an important, maybe signpost for people whose voice really did need to be heard in America. And I hate everything else about him, but for that, me.
But it's sort of, if this is what's happening now, like anything can happen. There's that feeling, isn't it? Like the next election might be between, you know, a toaster and an ostrich or something.
I'm going to put bets down now for Kim versus Kanye.
I'd rather have Trump in than Kanye.
No,
you know? I think Trump's probably got his meds balanced. Well, I can actually show you the truth behind why Trump won. Have a look at this revealing clip streamed live on the Christian website America Stands, in which the hosts explain how they influenced the vote.
7:30 at night, we went on the air, but we have a prayer room here.
Yeah.
We had people all across the United States joining with our prayer room here in Dallas in prayer, and look what happened. This was the moment when the whole race broke, when prayer began, the church came out, and then we see a 30-point swing here, a 30-point swing here, and now we see the swing to 95% chance of winning Trump, 5% chance of winning Clinton. It's phenomenal. This is the proof positive of what the Lord did. The Lord did this.
That point in the graph is where they'd counted some of the votes. It wasn't the power of prayer, it's the power of counting.
You say this wasn't God?
Well,
it just showed us on a graph.
All I'm saying is, if prayer works, they should pray to be less fucking stupid.
I would also say that I don't believe the Lord is American, so he can't vote. And that's voter fraud.
Clinton lacks the natural warmth of a true leader, which is why she often looked to celebrities to provide it instead. Take a look at this badly conceived interview between her and Mary J. Blige.
If an officer stops you, always be polite and never ever run away. Promise mama you'll keep your hands inside. Is it a gun? Is it a knife? Is it a wallet? This is your life. It ain't no secret. It ain't no secret. No secret, my friend. You can get killed just for living in your American skin. Oh.
Yeah, that's just the general white person reaction to gospel happening 3 feet from your face. What's she gonna do? Like, get up and twerk?
She might have also, in her face, like that face of hers might have just been like focus grouping in her head how much to smile. You know, she was probably like, is this smiling time or is this frowning time? Someone poll the audience.
It was a terrible message in this song of if an officer stops you, just be polite. And you're like, well, they fucking strangled a bloke for selling fags. It's, you know.
That is what mothers have to tell their young black sons, and it's a tragedy if they do tell them that to keep them alive. This is your life, just for living in your American skin. Mm-hmm. See? Strange reaction. It's weird.
Not that... OK, what other choices did America really have? On MSNBC's Morning Joe programme, Libertarian presidential candidate Gary Johnson's disturbing response to a question left everyone stunned. Take a look.
What would you do if you were elected about Aleppo?
About?
Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?
You're kidding.
No.
Aleppo is in Syria. It's the epicenter of the refugee crisis.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Okay.
I remember when that happened, and immediately everyone was like, he doesn't know where Aleppo is, because I do. Wait, it's in,
Well, I've said that anyone in this room would make a better president than Donald Trump, so let's meet a couple of them to find out. We asked some of our audience members to fill in questionnaires. Where's Daniel Walker? Daniel?
That's me.
How you doing, Daniel?
Doing well, thank you.
You enjoying the Trump administration?
I'm loving it so far.
You look kind of stoned, Daniel. We'll handle this in our own way. Daniel, we asked you, you're President of the United States and it's your first day in the job. What's the first thing you would do? You said, my top priority would be ending the war on drugs. Well, simplifying the corporate tax code, laying groundwork for a national healthcare exchange, limiting campaign donations, reining in the NSA, and creating powerful transparency laws. And that is why you would be dead in a week. But I salute your idealism, Daniel.
I love Daniel. I love this.
that was really nice. I was gonna say have sex in the Oval Office.
I think that's been done, hasn't it? It's been done to death.
Well, not to me.
That would have been Hillary's first order of business, wouldn't it? Just burning a lot of carpet. Where's Ariana Reich? How you doing, Ariana? We asked you if you were running for president, you could choose any celebrity as your VP. Who would it be and why? You said the bear from The Revenant. Who would mess with him and, by extension, me? I think the bear from The Revenant was kind of defending his own territory. He's not invading the Middle East to steal honey. Also, I think the bear from The Revenant is doing I'm a Celebrity this year. Here's your best boots. This is you eating Chris Akabusi. OK, I'm convinced that literally anybody in this room would make a better president than Donald Trump. Americans, if you agree with me, that's green. If you disagree, it's red. Vote now, Americans. almost entirely in agreement that anyone would do a better job. Just a couple of perverts. OK, on to the next proposition. Throughout the campaign, Donald Trump repeatedly showed us how much he loathes women, and Hillary Clinton is no feminist either. And so I propose America hates women. 52% of white women voted for Trump, so it might even be that American women hate women. Donald Trump said during the campaign, "Nobody has more respect for women than me." I can't even decode what that means. The only way that makes sense is if respect is the trade name of the date rape drug that he uses. Hillary Clinton was a very particular type of feminist. She didn't believe in female genital mutilation unless it was performed by an American drone. There's no point owing reality. I object to that because I find it difficult enough to find the clitoris at the best of times without having to paw through the rubble of Kandahar. Here to help us debate this topic, please welcome the comedian Desiree Birch. Thanks for joining us.
I don't have a lot to say to that, except for it's sad to see it in print because the truth hurts.
Do you think it was a factor in the election, misogyny?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really sick of arguing with men about how terrible a candidate Hillary was because we've elected so many terrible candidates all throughout America's history. We've never blinked about electing terrible people. It was really a hyper-focus on all of her flaws, and, you know, there is a reason for that.
Well, let's have a look at some illustrations of all of this. If you're looking for evidence that America hates women, then there's no clearer example than the extreme makeover reality show, The Swan. Take a look at this unsettling package describing the programme.
These 16 women handed over their lives to a world-class team of experts. Collectively, they received more than $4 million worth of treatments, including radical plastic surgery, cosmetic dentistry,
one of the most challenging cases,
grueling physical training, and hardcore personal coaching.
No pork chops. The party's over.
The program pushed all of the competitors to their absolute limits.
I've prayed for death this week.
In the end, 9 earned a spot in the most watched beauty pageant in America. While only 1 received the crown, they were all winners.
Should they have had pyrotechnics at the end, that close to so much plastic surgery?
Yeah.
Didn't the prize go to the doctor?
Horse racing, isn't it? It's the horse that's winning that race, mate.
It's so heartrending to see these women because they're kind of like, I'm afraid no one's ever going to love me. And, you know, by the time they're done, you know, like, oh, they're with their boyfriend who's like, oh, yeah, I really, like, love her body now. And she's a totally different person. So she just proved herself right. Like, no one will ever love you. But this, like, 10 this doctor can cut you into, oh, yeah, men love that.
Also, you can have perfectly good teeth and be alone. I've never been in a relationship or had braces.
Anyway, as body consciousness becomes increasingly neurotic, it's no surprise that labiaplasties are one of the fastest growing surgical procedures in the States. Have a look at this episode of medical advice show The Doctors and the startling way one surgeon chooses to explain designer vaginas.
Real quickly, Dr. Matt, can you explain to us what you're doing down there? Because I need to understand.
Is it just a tightening thing, or is this an aesthetic outside situation?
This represents the mons pubis and the labia majora. So what we will do primarily is either make a small little incision here in the mons pubis so that we can remove the fat by liposculpting. And normally this will go down into the upper areas of the mons of the labia majora.
Just ruined my 2 favorite things, sex and Nando's.
I don't know if that guy knows what a vagina is.
It'd be good if you had the operation, you just kind of lifted up your dress and it was like 2 legs of chicken.
So, like, I am not going to do anything to my vagina until you guys fix your testicles. Yes. It's like a goblin's coin purse.
I got labiaplasty. I want to make it like longer, just so everyone who came in, I could be like, ha ha ha, your tiny penis, ha ha. I would be the Jabba the Hutt of fucking guys. No, not enough. Ha ha.
Well, that'll be the next thing, because first it was like big fake boobs, and now it's like big fake bums. The labia is next.
What, you think big? Going big?
Big, yeah, I
big
love it.
grabbable labia.
Grab my pussy now with your tiny hands, motherfucker.
Trump's attitude to women shouldn't have been a surprise. Take a look at this revealing moment on Howard Stern's radio show featuring Trump and his daughter Ivanka.
Hey, Howard. Donald, do you ever discuss sex with your daughter?
No.
You do not?
No.
You've never sat
And I
down?
have a feeling we're not going to hear.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe we need to bring this up. Donald, seriously, you know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean,
You are one.
All right, I was going to say that, but it's true.
It's true.
And she's like, they know about that time. It is true.
I like that she was like, you know, dads. You know, they're always telling bad jokes and getting to the airport early and being sexual predators.
I felt there was a real kind of element of misogyny to a lot of the stuff. I mean, just Trump supporters, obviously, but in general in the media.
I don't know if we're confusing hatred with wanting to own. Like, I feel like America loves women, and that's why it wants to tell them what to do all the time and control them. And, like, tell them how to look and give them no reproductive choices. They love them, like the Taliban.
Well, you have to look at what you mean by America. America was created by white men who make up a lot of the Trump electorate, and same with the white women, as you mentioned. I used to be the white woman who would have voted for Donald Trump because I was taught that a man should lead. Let him text you first. Let him pay for you. Don't be more powerful than him. Don't make more money than him. Well, the shift in the world right now is humongous, and it makes them very threatened and very unhappy. And yes, like, this has been a setback, but overall, we're winning. Like, look at us. And this goes for not just women, but minorities as well. They can rape us and beat us and imprison us and make more money than us, but we're still nailing it. And those men are angry, and they hate us when we do well. And they hate us so much that there'll be men watching this right now who go, not all men, fuck you. Not all men. It's not about you. I know a lot of great men, yourself included, Mr. Boyle, and those men would look at me when I'm saying this, and they wouldn't respond with not all men. They would be nodding along, and they would agree with me, and they would say, yes, this is a problem. How can I use my privilege to stop it?
I think women can be misogynist as well. Sure. And I also think there's been a lot of people that said this wasn't about sexism. I've never heard any other candidate in the history of the United States, and I've been alive the whole time, that the number of times they smiled or didn't smile was counted. Mm-hmm. There's never been another candidate whose voice has been criticized, who...
Well, I have a really annoying laugh.
I mean, so do I have a shrill voice, but I didn't pick it. I wasn't like, that's the voice I'd like. I like the voice that causes dogs to gather outside.
I think it's that thing of, like, it is all men. You've all got that bit in you, and because you grow up in that society and that culture, and you've just got to recognise that.
But again, I think women are involved in that. I mean, I'm a woman who loves to look at women. Like, there's nothing I like more than the female changing rooms at my yoga, where a lot of the women are naked, and I love to look at them.
But still, I mean, if we think that we are progressive, and we've come a long way, but even America, the Islamic State will offer maternity leave before the state of Georgia will elect a woman as commander-in-chief. It's not happening.
What's the difference between Trump and Islamic State? It's a beard.
Not to mention, Pakistan has had a female president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They blew her up, to be fair. OK, it's time to vote. So, Americans, if you agree with me that America hates women, it's green. If you disagree, it's red. Vote now. You agree? To be fair, Donald Trump doesn't hate all women. It's just the fat ones, the Mexican ones, the ones with unplanned pregnancies, the ones who don't stick to the rules of beauty competitions, the ones who accuse him of sexual assault, and the ones who were married to Bill Clinton. Now, I'm very sad to say that at this moment, Michelle has to rush off. She has to rush off to her hotel room and say, thank fuck, that's over. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle Wolf! OK, time for our final proposition. Beyond the circus of the election itself, the American media has a lot to answer for. The partisan news coverage and the all-powerful movie industry mean that America is, in fact, the world's largest producer of dangerous and harmful propaganda. And so I propose the entire American entertainment industry should be burned to the ground. The US media and entertainment sector accounts for a third of the world's media production. The US military have been known to intervene in the making of Hollywood films. A spokesman from the US Department of Defense has said, "Our desire is that the military are portrayed as good people trying to do the right thing in the right way," which is helpful, as I can never remember which is the right way to bomb an Afghan hospital. The top 5 highest-grossing movies of 2015 were all American, and what's interesting is that they all depict an escapist fantasy. Star Wars, Jurassic World, Avengers, Inside Out, and the one where Vin Diesel plays a straight guy. Here to argue the case for the American entertainment industry, please welcome presenter, producer, film enthusiast and bon viveur, Richard Osman.
Hey, Frankie.
Hey, Rich. You enjoyed the election?
You know what? It's an amazing election. It tells us an awful lot of things, but it was an extraordinary election in so many ways.
Is this the end point of American propaganda? We're sold these images of billionaires, of wealth being good, of false stories about their exceptionalism throughout the election. Has that contributed to this scenario, to having Trump?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, Hollywood's always done that. You just said, you know, the top 5 movies were escapist movies. They always are. You know, that's what you want from movies, what you want from politicians. People, by and large, most people are not happy with their lot at any given time. And if you're not happy with your lot, you want to escape, whether that's through a movie or through a president. But I don't think the two things correlate.
Well, there's 2 strands to propaganda, aren't there? So there's, like, the ideological
There's actually 4.
Oh, you're such a fucking game show host.
But if you get 2, then you're through to the next round.
There's the side of it that's the ideology, that's we're Americans, we're exceptional. I think the particular type of American exceptionalism is we're allowed to use force. That's the message you see in a lot of their entertainment. But there's also distraction. So what you're saying is, well, there's all this distraction, so it's OK. Michael Jackson had a lot of brilliant funfair rides and petting zoos and stuff in the grounds of Neverland.
Yeah, full
that
stop.
Was the distraction.
Full stop, yeah.
But there was something else more sinister going on. And,
yes.
you know, and with America, we have the same thing. We have this, yeah, you can look over here, there's some great movies from Pixar, but at the same time, when it comes down to it, when we depict the military, or even just in our news, we're presenting an ideology that says that we're exceptional and we're allowed to do what we like.
Yeah, a bit, but I would say we'd be an awful lot worse off if it wasn't for the American entertainment industry. I suspect some of the stuff, you know...
Oh, we'd be watching British movies.
Exactly.
For a start. My daughter watches Netflix and she just goes, when we're choosing something, she goes, British! Oh, sorry, British.
It's true, though. It would just be Danny Dyer films. We know, there is genuinely... Look, the American entertainment industry gives us movies, TV, the best TV in the world, the best video games in the world. You know, the one place that Hollywood doesn't really have its tentacles, this is what it'd be like if you didn't have the entertainment industry, is YouTube. You know, the world would just be YouTubers. That would be your only entertainment if you burned the American entertainment industry to the ground. Is that what you want, you monster?
Cheerfully accept the term monster. Well, let's have a look at a prime example of Hollywood propaganda. Here's some crass patriotism in a scene from Olympus Has Fallen, when the president addresses the nation after a failed invasion of America.
Our foe did not come only to destroy our things or our people. They came to desecrate a way of life. to foul our beliefs, trample our freedom. And in this, not only did they fail, they granted us the greatest gift, a chance at our rebirth. May God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America.
Jared Butler. People there. All I can say is that if Americans feel they're best represented by the bloated face of a Scottish sex addict, welcome to the show. Right, so that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. When it comes down to political messages, you end up having this very exceptional idea of America that's punted at us.
How do you want them to end that film? That film is North Korea attacking the United States. Do you want them to end with, do you know what? They sort of had a point. Didn't they, the North Koreans? Actually, it's a fair point. How else are you going to end that film?
Well,
no one thinks that's real.
Well, they could have not made a film where North Korea invaded America.
But All the President's Men, there's a good movie. That's not propaganda, is it? It's left-wing propaganda, if anything. There's so much more left-wing propaganda in movies than right-wing propaganda from the United States.
There are a lot of important films, like 12 Years a Slave and
Yeah.
13th was really important and great to watch now. And I think it takes you a few years to understand that America saving the world when you're a child isn't really the way that the world works, but you figure it out before you're of age to vote.
I think you figure it out because fortunately you didn't grow up there with like all being inundated with all of that, you know. Like
You think Canada has its own TV and film?
I think Hollywood, by and large, the movie industry, is a genuine force for good. I think it's a force for social good. I think it has soft power and shows things to Americans before they're quite ready for them. Honestly, I think it does an amazing job. The news media is extraordinarily awful in the States, and we're very lucky over here to have a better one.
I agree. American news is rife with propaganda. They have almost no sense of history. So, like, you'll see them going, oh, there was a car bomb in Baghdad today, and they then analyse it and say, why do Iraqis hate cars so much?
Yeah.
The American media spends so much time telling the nation to be scared, it's hardly surprising they're all armed. Take a look at these crazed moments from TV show American Guns.
On this season of American Guns, we build guns for men in America.
What do you say we make some big loud noises with this gun?
Let's do it.
It actually sort of looks less offensive than the original Top Gear.
With respect, that looks amazing.
It does, doesn't it? They stick a gun under the front of a car at one point and shoot stuff with a car.
Oh yeah. The motion has failed.
The American gun lobby are so fixated on their right to bear arms that they come up with solutions to problems you didn't know existed. Take a look at this jaw-dropping lo-fi advert featuring an ingenious invention.
What if when you woke up, the intruders were already in your room? At that point, reaching for a firearm may tip off the intruder where your gun is and get you killed. There is a solution, the patent-pending gun bed. The gun bed is quite possibly the biggest breakthrough in home defense since the invention of the firearm.
I actually would quite like my fear of intruders being replaced with the fear of a loaded shotgun dropping onto my head.
I think it's so cool they got Vladimir Putin to be in the advert.
That's so satisfying. Like, which of us hasn't been in bed with someone we wanted to immediately shoot in the face? Like, that's so... You wouldn't be able to get the distance, but, like, so many times you're just like, no, mistakes were made. You know?
It'd be good if they could do that, but with tubes of Pringles.
Snack time.
You could have both and just, like, you're not getting any Pringles. The intruder sits there as you eat them one by one. OK, I'm convinced that America is the world's largest producer of propaganda, but it's down to my American audience members to see if they agree with me. So, Americans, if you agree with me that the entire American entertainment industry should be burned to the ground, it's green. If you disagree, it's red. Vote now. Disagree. Of course you do. You've been brainwashed. Well, that's the end of my American autopsy. Thanks to my guests, Sarah Pascoe, Catherine Ryan, Desiree Burch, Richard Osman and Michelle Rowe. But before I go, I want to leave you with this. You've got to look on the bright side. As I dropped my child off at school today, I said, be positive. If everything kicks off, that's your blood type. David Boyle was great at predicting future trends, wasn't he? Always seemed to know what was going to be fashionable next. He had an unfailing sense of what the future would be like. And that is why this year he chose to die. David Bowie willed himself to die like a dolphin. Our civilization is coming to an end, not at some theoretical point in the future, but soon. We have just under 4 months left. The death throes of humanity will be a carnival of indescribable horror, which I will now describe. We will see limbless men raping people with greased heads, members of ISIS beheading themselves, James Corden continuing to perform an endless monologue caked in the flung excrement of the 54th Southern Highlanders. At the zoo, wild animals will form a dignified queue as they wait for the elephants to stamp them to death. Watching lions and tigers being trodden like grapes, humans will attempt to join them, and the elephants will use their trunks to pull their heads off like champagne corks to the ecstatic applause of the sea lions. The only currency will be the Vienna Boys Choir. 10,000 traumatized infants in makeshift lingerie will flee the Vatican like rats from a factory fire. For the people of Swansea, life will go on as normal. The bloody pelt of Tom Hanks will be flown as a flag of humanity's surrender to the inevitable. Alien spacecraft, seconds from Earth, will turn around. God will avert his gaze in disgust, then send down his self-righteous son to be murdered again because he hates him. So please don't waste time on petty rivalries and hatreds. That neighbour who annoys you, invite him round for a barbecue. Get drunk with him. Kill him. It doesn't matter. He's dead already. Life on Earth is over, and we can mope about it, or we can enjoy the relief of knowing that nothing matters anymore. I don't know about you, but I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. After this, I'm off to the National Gallery to fuck a Rubens. And don't feel sad. You're the lucky ones. You made it to the end of the game. The movie is over, and we're living in the blooper reel. I've buried a time capsule for the people of the future. And you know what's in it? A pressure-sensitive landmine. Good luck rebuilding society with no legs. The very last chapter of human history will involve Richard Branson trying to flee the Earth on a spacecraft. But as he blasts off, he'll feel my shotgun at the base of his skull and my erection at the base of his spine. I will be the alien to his Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, I'm sorry that I won't be with you for the coming struggle. In these final moments of existence, I'm afraid I have better things to do than try to amuse strangers. Goodbye.